Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Welcome to today's Friday Fix. Yes, it's finally Friday. What is it? It's the 29th of August today, I believe. All day. You join me and the wonderful, the magnificent lads from AlphaPicks. If you don't already follow them, if you don't already subscribe to their Substacks, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Content's great, they're great, etc., etc. Alex and Jesse will be giving us a rundown of the major themes that we've seen this week. Again, nothing is trading advice. I'll get the legals out of the way. No trading advice. Nothing said on here if there's any kind of endorsement by PiQ, AlphaPicks, or the three of us. If you are listening to any podcast or Spaces event and you decide to trade on the back of it, you probably need to give your head a seeing to, regardless of who it is that's doing the talking. But anyway, enough from me. Alex, Jesse, how are you on this fine Friday?
It's fine, fine. We've got those intros down to an absolute T.
Do you know what?
Like,
I'm in a good mood. I'll tell you what it is, mate.
Back.
Would you like to know? Would you like to know?
Go on.
Right. It's because I'm sober on a Friday. And this this is why I've been super productive. I've got shit done. I'm going to go down the pub in about an hour's time.
It's great. I love to hear it. Love to see it. No,
Friday
thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction.
Sober Friday mornings. I didn't know they existed.
A glorious way to be. I always we could talk about that.
Yeah, right. What's going on in market?
Yeah. But no, equally echo thoughts with PiQ and all your content that goes out. Would reciprocate all those thoughts. And in terms of kicking off this week, I think we'd be amiss not to start with NVDA, which certainly after last Friday's Jackson Hole and the move, we came in sort of Monday, Tuesday, and things actually felt pretty quiet because NVIDIA, given its dominance in weighting on the S&P, logically it was something that people were treading water on until they saw what happened.
I tell you what, just on this, just quickly, the bizarre thing was, it felt that there was more anxiety leading into NVIDIA results, than we get leading into like a Fed decision. It was bonkers.
I mean, I think it does go some way to highlight just the size and the behemoth that NVIDIA has become.
Oh, good word.
Good word, thank you. And so, yeah, I mean, I think to some extent, if you know that it's basically an 8% weighting of the S&P, then, it kind of like, it does make a difference to pretty much everyone's portfolio out there. But the interesting thing, and the takeaway I actually would have from this, interested to get your guys' thoughts on it, is that the share price obviously dropped. It was about 3%. It dropped post-market, kind of recovered a little bit, then came lower again yesterday. And the usual chat of like, it's because everyone set their benchmark so high and it's just this lofty valuation and it can't keep up with it. But when you actually look at it, so NVIDIA trades at basically 33 times earnings, which is actually fallen from where the PE multiple it was a few weeks
and
back.
Also, when you compare to Palantir, it's fuck all. It's nothing.
Well, exactly. Yes. Palantir is trading above 200 PE. And like the NASDAQ 100 is priced at 27 times earnings. So it's like,
value, mate. Value.
It's like, yes, it's slightly above index average, but when you look at the sector it's in, what it's doing, the innovation that's coming. I actually refute the argument that the stock isn't rising because it's just got this lofty valuation, which doesn't make sense anymore.
This is it. And this is one of the very many things that you guys do very well is, it's easy just to jump on the bandwagon and say, well, yeah, it's because of the valuation. But, if you like you guys do, especially with your thematic research and stuff you do, you actually look beyond like the bluster and say, well, hang on, well, what does the data tell us? If you actually look at the numbers, it's not overvalued at all. Yes, of course, there's an argument to be made, and you've got this whole cult of made up accounting that's out there that says that you don't really have any of this earnings coming down the pipe, etc. But I don't know, it's an odd one. It's an odd one to try and be betting against when you see this coming in, unless you believe the accounting scandals that apparently is going to, next week is going to be, all is going to be seen, but then next week never comes. I've got actually, and do tell me if you've seen my tweet. Do not check my tweets if you, because I've already retweeted it. So please don't check my tweets, Alex, Jesse. Right. So we're talking about PE ratios, right? AI PE ratios. right? There's a Chinese company that this morning came out. It's an AI chip maker. Called Cambricon Technologies. They came out this morning and basically told investors, please do not buy any more of our stock because the PE ratio is bonkers and it's just completely overvalued. Do you know what this PE ratio is before I ask you what it is?
I don't know the PE ratio, but I have come across Cameron before, and I have
All
seen the
right,
move this week,
bit
but not the ratio.
fruity.
Oh,
You've got your own
that's
kinks
not
there, but
that's not Asian equity analyst over there.
whatever gets you off, mate, to be honest. Right. Okay. Well, for once, I'm giving a stat attack. Right. So what is the PE ratio for Cambricon Technologies, given the fact that, bear in mind that they've told investors, please stop buying our stock?
And just to clarify, this is the actual management team
Yes.
there.
No, this is the company
This is
themselves.
the company themselves who said
Yeah,
don't buy their
they
stock.
came out last or this morning, depends what clock you're on, and they've urged investors to stop buying their own company stock.
I mean, it's got to be something absolutely bananas. I would say what would I say? I would say 5,000.
I
Jesse?
was gonna use like Palantir at 300 as kind of a benchmark and go about 500 forward
Well,
to you.
Alex has absolutely nailed it. It's
Oh
around
wow!
5,000.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
that is good.
5,000.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, did they give any reasoning as to why they didn't want to? Because I mean, in theory, yes, it might be crazy value, but they can use that to
I
obviously do equity fundraising
Yeah, I
or
think
loads of
the
stuff.
concern is, I think with all of this, yeah, we've seen it in the past. The Chinese Politburo and themselves, they get very nervous themselves, and any company they see with this kind of performance, they like put an eagle eye on it. All sorts of crackdown comes. Basically, I think the Cambricon are basically going, look, we just do not need the attention being drawn to us at the moment. Just please stop buying our
Mm,
stock, because there's been a lot of pump and dumps with especially like Chinese Nasdaq listed Chinese companies, etc., etc.
mm,
We've seen like China wide, they're trying to cut down because there's been a massive retail splurge. I think there's like $1 trillion being invested into via retail in the past few weeks in China. It's gone a bit
mm,
fucking crazy, and we know how this works. We've seen this cycle play out many times in China where you get that huge retail buy, everyone puts all their kind of savings in. It gets wiped out, and then the government's like, shit, we now need to bail out the consumer again. So I think that's why they're
mm.
kind of saying, they're probably being told by the government or some official, please tell people to stop buying your stock. But the
Yeah.
statement came out from the company officials, not the government. But I thought it was worth
Mm.
bringing up because I thought it was quite an interesting little stat.
That's a great
I
little
think
stat attack tangent.
I think if Michael Brown was here, he'd probably tell us that all the numbers in China are fake anyway.
Oh yeah, well, and also, but he's kind of right. Do you really ever own stock in China? Because the government could tap you on the shoulder and say that's ours now.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you go, well, at a 5,000 PE ratio, you can have the fucker.
I mean, maybe Rachel Reeves will do the same in the autumn
Oh
budget. Who
no,
knows?
I
Oh
hope we're coming
no.
on to that.
I mean, yeah, surely. I wanted to hit you with a little stat attack myself,
Go
actually,
on,
on
go,
NVIDIA.
go.
And I think Jesse may have seen this from my notes, so I don't know if he can come in on this. But so NASDAQ 100,
Yeah.
how many of the 100 member indexes have a PE ratio higher than NVIDIA at the moment?
Oh, you bastard.
I
Okay.
do know this one, but this is a great
Well,
question.
in terms of, well, I was going to say in terms of percent, but it's the same thing because there's only 100 stocks. Oh God, Ryan needs a drink.
Sober Fridays, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that.
I'm
Right.
ordering a drink to your table now, Ryan.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I'm going to say how many have got higher than Nvidia, and Nvidia was about 20, right?
NVIDIA's 33
Oh, sorry, 33.
PE.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to say, oh, fuck. 52.
52. Okay. 30.
Oh, fuck.
30.
Okay.
But however you look at it,
It's
30 or 52, there's a good portion
it's
of
in the
the
mid
index
range, right?
that are more expensive on a PE ratio than
Yeah.
Nvidia. Yeah. Which
I
is
think
the main gist of it.
just one other thing on their earnings. It's actually pretty much in the same range as Apple and Microsoft. I think they're both trading at about
Oh,
30, and Nvidia's 33.
this
So
is what and this
It's,
ties in exactly with what you guys have been saying, right? Yeah,
yeah,
when you cut through like oh my God, it's NVIDIA, it must be overvalued. By every metric, it's, in line.
Mm.
So
yeah,
I'd
Yeah.
say
with the big tech
one thing
hitters.
to note on those results that we had last night. Was it last night or the night before? I can't even remember.
Wednesday.
See, this is what happened when I don't drink on a Thursday. So one thing I did know, funnily enough, I flagged it with our dear friend Michael Brown. It was one of those results, one of those earnings, or one of those data releases that you could have given me the data a day in advance, and I've just still lost money on the announcement.
Yeah,
Mm.
it was one of those typical like IV crash. I think it was about 7% options per pricing movement,
Yeah.
and it opened the next day pretty much flat.
Yeah, but I mean that initial kind of move, that bolt lower.
Yes.
And again, that's one of the reasons why I never, ever, ever I wouldn't trade earnings results with money that I've stolen off of Jesse. Put it that way.
Well, good to know.
Yeah.
Watch the pocket. And moving on from Nvidia, the
Yes.
other story, one of the other stories to come by was over in France,
On
over
France.
on France, Vive la France. They're yet again in a bit of a political mess. It had obviously simmered down from basically late last year and even sort of Q1 of this year,
Yes.
where everyone was like, France is in a mess, they're in a political gridlock, et cetera, et cetera. It kind of sort of, they kicked the can down the road far enough, but now with obviously Michel Barnier, he resigned and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But now they've effectively got the same problem.
Yes.
And the new PM, the new PM from this year, he has called for a confidence vote
This
September
weekend,
8th. So
right? September 8th. Oh, sorry. Got that
September
confused.
8th, yeah. And because he basically wants to pass his budget, which the preceding administrations couldn't get through. And yeah, it's basically an austerity budget because France
Yeah.
need to cut back on everything. Now, the issue that this poses is it's unlikely his confidence vote is going to go through because of the opposition that they've got, which really actually points lightly to having fresh snap elections,
Yes.
maybe end of this year, maybe early
Yes.
next year, whatever. And remember, last time around, there was this situation where the far left and the far right both garnered a lot of votes,
Yeah.
and the centrist middle basically were in no man's land.
Yeah.
And I think this time around, given that the French voters are still grumbling, still unhappy, the dissatisfaction they put last time around, which almost put a far left or a far right party
Yeah.
in the running, I think there's a very real risk that France does end up with quite an extremist
Absolutely.
party from the
Absolutely.
fresh elections.
Absolutely. And from what I can remember, my kind of intrinsic knowledge of French electoral system isn't all that, especially on a Friday afternoon. I think Le Pen when the first round of votes, I think the right to far right parties gathered far more votes than basically the makeup would have sorry, I'm trying to phrase this correctly. Basically, the right to far right parties gathered a very large share of the votes, but it was only the way that they then break down to the second stage and the third stage of voting where it then dwindles out. So they're saying,
Mm,
if they can get over the line a bit more in the first stage, it really puts them in a much better position in the latter stages of the electoral votes. Um,
yes.
so it'd be a really interesting one. And also, we know how kind of Europe's going at the moment as well. But one thing, I'm glad you raised France, because one thing that kind of flagged when I was just scrolling through headlines all day, every day, is that when you got the French finance minister basically saying, mentioning that the IMF might be needed at some point, is never really a good sign.
Mm. I agree. It is, yeah. No, great pause for dramatic effect there.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for that. That was a repetition for emphasis.
but the
Yes,
problem
it's
is,
not a great sign.
I'm a bit scared to I would love to laugh at the French. Who doesn't like laughing at the French? Sorry if you're French, I apologise. But we can't laugh too hard here in England because we're also in an absolute shambles, which maybe we'll get time to go on to a bit later on.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think, yeah, I think it's all relative, isn't it? I would
Yeah,
still say we have slightly more political stability than the French do. I mean, yeah, are we in, is the public sector or the fiscal situation materially better than the French? No. Is it slightly more front and center for France right now? Yes. Um, and the interesting one though that I was looking at is essentially how to play it. If
yeah.
you know to look at
Oh
playing
yeah,
it,
go
because
on.
it's like you can look at obviously the 10-year differential on the oat to bun spread, which
Yeah,
has obviously moved higher. But when you look at the sort of remaining juice higher from there, or from current levels, which is basically like 80 basis points differential, there isn't really too much to be had. Like if you go back to like the Eurozone crisis levels 2011, 2012, it got to like 150 basis points. So
right.
there is room, but it's kind of like, are we at Eurozone crisis levels? No. So you could maybe make the case that 80 basis points could maybe go to like 100, on election fears, etc.,
Yeah.
and
So
extremists.
so then, gun to your head, then, and I'm assuming you've probably got a paper coming out or being out or whatever. Obviously, no trading advice, definitely not. But so you looking at a play here then for PA?
So yeah, so on the open 10-year spread, that's the idea that's most accessible, should we say,
Right. Yeah.
to the man on the street to be able to
Yes.
put that on. I mean, the
Just for those,
one.
just for anyone that isn't entirely sure what oats are. Oats are basically the French government bonds. It's their equivalent of the gilt and the 10-year bund, 10-year gilt, etc., or 15-year gilt, depending on which one you want to look at it.
Yes, exactly. So you're making a play that the yield differential between the French and the German is going to increase, given that obviously the German Bund is seen as the
Yeah.
effective risk-free rate from within the Eurozone. Um, the one I like, but I mean, this is kind of like, you need to basically have access to a prime desk, which we don't, and I think most people, in the retail space don't, is actually the CDS, the credit
Yeah.
default swaps for France. Because if you look at that, it's basically trading at around 36. And back even in April, it was trading at 45. And late last year, it was trading at pretty high levels as well. So like, I think that 36 could easily get to
Yeah.
50.
But
And
but
when
you're
you
right
look
to
at
flag that is like inaccessible for many other CDSs. And
exactly.
I tell you what, it's a very good litmus test. I find when you got these people on Twitter very loud, talk a very good game, and then they start posting that they've got trades on in CDS and stuff, and I'm like, I know for a fact you ain't got a prime.
Yeah, and
So,
you've not got
so
an ISDA.
yeah, and they claim that
Yeah.
they've got this. They claim they've got a few sizes on. You look through Bloomberg. You look what's trading. You're like, well, it's not even traded that this week. Let alone what you got in your paper wallet. But yeah, it's one to
Yeah.
keep an eye on with people like that.
Yeah. So
We can't
yeah,
all be like
agreed.
Chamanth and
Exactly. We will ping it. We'll ping him through his channel because
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
big on his istas. So yeah, I think France definitely want to keep an eye on. The other one actually that I thought was very interesting was, which I actually want to bring Jesse on this, was the age of basically corporate virality. Because if you
Ooh,
remember with Cracker Barrel, and basically over the course of past
yes,
week, a lot of, they took basically that, whatever his name was, the old dude, off their logo,
Mr. Barrel.
and Mr. Barrel himself, and investors basically had them over a barrel, if you'll pardon the pun.
Oh, hello.
Ah,
Oh, stop it.
stop it.
Roll on to the next one.
um,
Oh,
and so this week they backtracked and have brought the logo back. And if you look at the share price fall versus the share price rally from the backtrack, there's this kind of concept of going back to basics in terms of marketing, and companies that try and go, I mean, to be very careful how we tread here, because you don't want it to come across as being like woke, anti-woke, but
yeah,
those that are going back to, those that are ditching their
yes,
values, and we had examples like Jaguar last year, some other
yeah,
ones,
yeah.
it can backfire really
So
badly.
did Cracker Barrel retrace the whole move then, or?
And they retraced, I think they did. Yeah, let me take a
I
little
mean,
look.
that shows you like the first cut is always the cheapest, right? They cut that decision early and they hopefully recovered.
Yeah. Yeah, it has recovered all of the share price losses
But I
from
tell you what,
bringing the
it's
logo back.
you're seeing it. Sorry to interrupt, but you're seeing it, more broadly and kind of, less auspiciously in terms of like, banks and stuff. Although that, a lot of banks we're seeing in Europe, etc., are just quietly dropping their net zero commitments and stuff like that. And you're like, well, it was a bit mental when banks were trying to go net zero in the first place. It's like, well, what the hell's going on there? But you're seeing it all over this shop. You're seeing, this fad where a lot of consultants made a fucking lot of money on this net zero bollocks, et cetera, and for, companies signing up for these pledges. Yeah, and it was in ESG and stuff. All the ESG funds were fucking tanking. It was like, it's the easiest thing for a bank to do was sell some ESG funds because, they're just creaming off the top. We saw this week as well on similar lines that, and again, very quietly released, the EU have basically said, well, this, what was it, 2035 agreement where they're going to have no more petrol cars, etc., or no more internal combustion engine cars. They've now basically quietly walked that back and say it's no longer possible. And car manufacturers are like, we've been telling you this for fucking years. But it's nice to see it then kind of. It's nice to see it kind of breaking down into that kind of, again, the more basic side of stuff as well.
Exactly. Yeah, go
So
on, Jay.
yeah, so what kind of sparked the idea of this was a few of the retailers who have had viral campaigns recently. I think over the past week, Gap put out that campaign with Cat's Eye, who have a big audience in the Gen Z kind of age group. And then also the big one was the American Eagle, Sydney Sweeney.
You saw that
And
one,
it kind
Ryan,
of just
right?
happened.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I think we all saw that one. It's kind of just diving into these companies that are sticking to the core audiences and maybe just focusing more on like a usual brand strategy. But this wasn't just across like the retail space. Alex had a good play on Exxon Mobil because they're scrapping their ESG. So the point that you were making there, Ryan. So the article that we put out is kind of just a thematic across quite a few areas, but these brands that are kind of changing marketing strategies and ditching some of the recent kind of trends of the past few years.
Yeah.
We'll see how the play goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. And then one last one, conscious of time, which coming out today, obviously, core PCE inflation.
The Fed's preferred measure of inflation.
The
Drink.
Fed's preferred gauge. It's an interesting one because ever since Jackson Hole over the past week, this is one of the key data points ahead of the September FOMC meeting that people are gonna analyze and scrutinize. My very brief take on it is that unless we get a major upside surprise, like it's meant to come in at 2.9%, the core is meant to come in at 2.9 versus 2.8 last month. I think, bar is coming in at like, I don't know, 3.3%. Like, I really struggle to see it derailing expectations for a September cut. I think even if it comes in at 2.9 or even 3, people are going to see it more as like a few. It's not a crazy high number.
Yes.
We can basically keep our vibes on
Yeah,
with
I
September.
think the communication has already been pretty solid that there's going to be 25 cut, right? What's the market currently pricing?
It's 85%.
85%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if we were going to get a shock and maybe they don't cut, they would be telegraphing this as soon as the figures released. Basically, you'll get the Fed whisperer out because they're very good at doing this now. It'll be incredibly difficult for them to walk this back, especially after Trump's been crying for a cut forever, basically.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with you. So that's the only thing I'd say. Watch out for between now and the weekend.
Definitely,
And
good point.
obviously it's a long weekend for our friends
Oh
stateside.
yes, yeah.
So enjoy the Monday off. And I mean, what we're talking about, it's a bank holiday here in the UK.
No, is it?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was the US. It's Labor Day in the US.
Yeah, I hope you're at the
it's
desk on
not.
Monday, Alex.
It's not in the UK, is it?
No,
No,
it's
US.
not the
You
UK.
tell you what, problem is you're like Judith Chalmers. You're always on holiday.
He's probably got a holiday booked this weekend.
I'll tell you what though. Before we go, a realization that made my blood run cold today or last night.
No.
France, and how
that was another
financially and
pause there for emphasis. Go on.
Yeah, they're in the popper. But yeah, and again, the UK are very much in the shit. And there's been a lot of trial balloons going up for what's going to happen in the budget. Pretty much every trial balloon has been a disaster and moving markets against them. Can someone tell the Treasury and Rachel Reeves and Torsten Bell to stop raising trial balloons because they're crushing the confidence in the economy in the UK? But then it dawned on me, I've been sitting there taking the piss out of Rachel Reeves forever. But if she goes, we're going to get someone like Torsten Bell, who's far, far worse. So I think Rachel Reeves is a complete moron. But if she did lose her job, she's going to be replaced with someone far, far worse, and that should terrify people.
It's basically better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Well, I think Devil's being very kind, Jesse, but yeah. But genuinely, I mean, like, I'm now gone from going, she's got to go, to please do not get rid of her. Let her stay the full term, and then we can vote this whole shower of shit out and get some people in that actually know what they're doing with the economy. But on that summary, sunny note, bright note, happy note, is that the end of the show?
On a mini Ryan rants.
Yeah, exactly.
We love it.
I might have to hit up Instagram after this in the pub. But anyway, enough from me. Guys, thank you so much, as always. Listeners, I know I said it at the start of the show, but I'll say it again. If you're not already following these guys and subscribing to their Substack, what are you doing in your life? Get it done. If you have missed the start of the show because you're listening live, do go and check it out when it gets it's all recorded. It's also going up on YouTube, etc. I know the vast majority of you play this back anyway, so welcome from the past. And whatever you're doing, stay safe, keep it tight, have a phenomenal weekend, have a long weekend if you're in the US, and we'll see you all next week. Much love.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys.
See you later, Ryan.
See you guys. Bye bye.